It's time for Market Explainer, your number one business news podcast. Hosted by Danny and the big man. And it starts right now. Let's get to your non-story story.
Now, I personally have had a less than complimentary thought when it comes to autonomous and self-driving cars, because I believe in my lifetime there will be a push to make it illegal for people to drive their own cars. Because, and here's me being as the big man would say, conspiracy theorist, or as the last 5 years have proven, simply factual all the time person. That they're just going to say you're not allowed to drive a car, and then when you tweet something inappropriate and you try to get in your car, they're just going to be like, yeah, denied, delete your tweet, you can get in the car. So
no, they're not taking away. Look, they're not taking away our driver's licenses. They're not ever going to say you can't drive. That's not going to happen. Probably not in my lifetime. I'm not saying not ever, because at some point there'll be the, just like in what's the movie with Will Smith, the iRobot, right? Just like in iRobots, at some point it'll be much safer for the computer to drive than these idiots. Okay,
and that's fine. That's a risk I'm willing to take. Some people just got to die for my freedom. That's all I'm saying.
But so,
and if it's a person that rides one of those low seat bicycles, I forget what it's called.
Recumbent bicycle.
Recumbent bicycle on the street, like you're just going down West Palmer on your recumbent bicycle when there's a freaking bike lane that I paid for, by the way, you ding dong. My tax dollars, when I fill up gas in my V8 Lincoln Town Car or my Expedition, I'm the one building you a bike lane, and you're in the main road and you're not following the signal because you're like, it's too hard to go uphill. Get a car. Okay?
We need you out of the gene pool anyway. That's all I'm saying about that. But look, I have really, when it comes to autonomous vehicles, I don't share Danny's fear about that. I don't care. As long as they don't run into me, as long as they're not killing people, I could care less whether autonomous vehicles exist or don't exist. Doesn't bother me one whatsoever.
Right.
Look, we all have done story after story the last couple of years. There are several cities in lots of different places that are currently running trials of autonomous vehicles, right? Yep. They do them in these big cities because that's where you get the most data, right?
Correct.
You put them in San Francisco, you put them in LA, you put them in New York City, you put them in Dallas, places where they're tested because they're going to work in podunk nowhere, Georgia, because there's nothing to hit. Okay?
Right. True.
Right, where you can get a lot of data in these kind of places. This car, here's the reason I say this is a non-story story, and Danny loves non-story stories.
I do.
Is this car did exactly what a human being should do.
Which is got pulled over and said, screw you, and drove off.
No, it's not. It got pulled over at a red light.
Yeah.
And when the light turned green, it pulled past the green light and pulled over. Which is what you're supposed to do so you don't block an intersection. Now, when this all went viral because somebody just happened to take a video of this actually happening, and from the perspective of the guy standing on the side of the street, what happens? Cops get out, look, see there's no driver in the car, right? And people are freaking out because, people pull out their phones because, wait a minute, a car with no driver and it's getting pulled over by the cops. That's funny all in itself, right? And then to see the cops still standing beside the car and for it to just take off.
Yeah, because what else can you do?
And then it stops again, and then here comes the cops pulling up behind it again, right? And then it stays there and shuts itself off. The part, I watched the whole video because I wanted to see what actually happened versus what this article went through. And was like, oh, this autonomous car ran from the cops. No, it didn't. It did the proper traffic thing, but it weirded the cops out, obviously. But then it made me ask the question, what are cops supposed to do with a car that has a bad taillight or didn't use its blinker or is going too fast or too slow or whatever? What are they supposed to do to an autonomous vehicle car? So I actually went and found.
I'm watching the video right now. It's hilarious.
I watched the. So I went and found Waymo and Cruise's videos
Right.
of what cops, firefighters, right, EMS, what they're supposed to do when they pull
Yeah.
over one of these cars,
They
and they
call a phone
essentially
number.
have to call. They
Yeah.
got to call. You know, they got the funniest thing is I'm sitting here watching this training video that is meant for EMS and fire, whatever, right? Because they just put it down on YouTube in today's world,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sitting here watching it. And I'm like, have we not made instructional? Have we not made progress on TV shows and movies and instructional things since 1980? What do we? Why is this still? I keep waiting for it to like in the VCR where you get that little shh go up and down. I keep waiting for it. Like, can we not make an educational video in 2022 that is
interesting?
That's not less than when you have come into contact with the worst actor in the world. I am. Yes, my parents are very disappointed in me. Like, I mean, but anyway, they're supposed to call. But that's the thing. It's like they have to call.
Now let me tell you something.
They have to call. The cops has to call and say, "Hey, your vehicle's acting like a crazy." So if it's driving through a Wendy's, I can't do anything about it.
Let me tell you something. Here's what I loved about this story. Now the cops got to sit on customer service. Hey, when my house got broken into and you said you'd be there in 45 minutes and it took you 3 hours, now we're all in the same boat, pal. Thanks.
Well, but I mean, think about that time. Okay, so if again, extreme case, I got an autonomous car just ramming itself into a Wendy's wall, right? Cops show up because that number, I didn't know what that number existed.
Of course
I didn't know what was supposed to happen. So now I'm sitting in the Wendy's parking lot eating my Baconator, right?
Yeah.
And I see this autonomous car. It's just headbutting itself into the side of the Wendy's. Bam.
Well,
bam,
let me tell you something.
Bam. Right?
You know, one of my
I had to wait on the cops.
Yeah. One of my tip of the weeks several months ago was with enough velocity, any restaurant can be a drive-through. Right?
Well,
and so this autonomous car is just
it's given that Wendy's the drive-through. That's what its point is, right? And it's ramming into the side. So I call the cops, right? Now, depending on where I live, the cop's going to get there anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on where I live, you know? And it's slamming in its... So I've got to watch this car slam into this wall for 20 minutes, right? And then the cops get there, and hopefully the cops in Joe Bob County, whatever...
Right.
Aren't trying to Google what the hell do I do with a Wayfair car?
That's right, Waymo. Yeah.
What do I do with this car because they didn't watch the educational video?
Yeah, because Wayfair is that company that sells home goods, but also probably does human trafficking.
Cruise, Waymo. Let me know what the name of the car when they actually start being a car company, and then I'll learn it. All right. Okay. I wouldn't have been able to know what Uber was until Uber became Uber. I'd have been like,
fair enough.
Car company that picks you up and takes you places.
Yeah, listen, I just thought this was a funny story because the car drove off and it did what every person wants to do when they get pulled over, which is go, I guess I'm going on a high-speed chase. Call me O.J. Simpson.
Well, that's the point. It's not like it would be fine if it was the cops pulled up and it just drove a little while and then pulled over. We've all done that, right?
Right.
Or if it drove, if it was already rolling and the cops pulled up behind it and then it went a little bit and pulled over. No, all of those would have been fine. But the fact that you see the cops have the time, it stops long enough for the cops to get out of their car, walk up to realize that there's not a driver in it. When you got people all around and go, there ain't nobody in there. Like you hear it on the tank, like, ain't nobody in there. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it'd be funnier if the window, right? I think it'd be funnier if the window rolled down and it just Bluetooth to like an OnStar type service and like autonomous vehicle headquarters. How can I help you?
Oh no, it would be something like because they're all named. Like when you get in, like the taxi thing, they're like your car's name is Ken, right?
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Ken. How can I help you?
All right. Well, I think that concludes that. I'm gonna do tip of the week. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just remember, if it says punishable by fine, it just means legal for a price.
God help us all. We'll see you next time, folks.